Hello, and welcome to Your Vote Counts, a nonpartisan public candidate interview service program designed to help voters get acquainted with the candidates vying for the 2025 special district election races of Ward 6 of the Salem City Council and the Salem-Keizer School Board positions of 1, 3, 5, and 7. These interviews come to you through the producers at Capital Community Media, with collaboration on questions from the American Association of University Women and the League of Women Voters of Marion and Polk Counties. Interviewers are from the League of Women Voters. All candidates for these races were invited, and all but one chose to participate. Candidates did not receive the prepared questions ahead of time. Candidates were invited to prepare a 2-minute opening statement addressing their background and qualifications for the office, as well as a 2-minute closing statement. I'm Tomika Du, your moderator from the League of Women Voters, and I'd like to introduce Angelo Arredondo Baca, who is running for Salem's Keizer School Board, Zone 3. Welcome, candidate Baca. We're looking forward to your opening comments.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me today, and good morning, everybody. My name is Angelo Arredondo Baca, as mentioned. I was starting out when doing my opening, from the very beginning. So both of my parents were farm workers who immigrated from Mexico to Oregon and then to Salem, where I was born and raised. I like saying that I am, by the community, for the community, because as I mentioned, been here my entire life. I actually, a fun fact I like mentioning is that I attended K-12 in the zone that I'm not trying to represent, which is Zone 3, attending Richmond Elementary, Leslie Middle School, and graduating from South Salem High School in 2020. So I have, recent experience in our schools. I like mentioning that I learned everything from how to do my taxes to how to speak English, because it's my second language. So really the school shaped the district shaped who I am today. Besides being a student and have the experience, I am the guardian of two of my sisters. One who graduated in 2020, who is currently at Western Oregon University, and one who is a junior at South Salem, where I graduated from. I also have a vast variety of community experience. I was the chair of the Salem Human Rights Commission for 3 years, being a member for 4. I was the youngest chair ever of a city commission. I was on the Oregon Translation Advisory Council, which helps translate the voters' pamphlets that all of you might have received. And done a lot of community work, as I've mentioned before. And so I'm excited to run and to represent all of our community on the board, hopefully representing Zone 3.
Thank you for sharing that information with us. Now let's give you an opportunity to address questions of concern and interest from our community. Let's begin with, what do you think the biggest challenges faced by teachers and staff of the Salem-Keizer District 24 are?
Yeah, so in my opinion, I think just talking to the community, talking to educators themselves, I think one of the things is safety. A lot of our educators, our staff that directly support our kids or students don't feel safe at work, whether it's because of the large class sizes that they have to deal with, that they feel that like they're not having adequate one-on-one time or adequate instruction with their students, or sometimes even if they're being attacked in their own classroom. We've seen, I've heard, terrible stories of that happening in our district, and I'm sure in districts worldwide. And so safety is, one of the things that I'm most concerned about. I think the second thing is just the lack of resources. As I mentioned, class sizes is one thing. How can we expect them to effectively teach if they have to deal with 30 plus kids in the classroom? Going back to resources, I just think we know of a lot of teachers who have to purchase their own materials. That's not just the Salem-Keizer School thing. It's a district-wide and statewide and even federal-wide issue. And so, lack of resources and safety, I would say, is what I've heard most from our teachers and educators.
Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. What is your understanding of the role and duties of a school board member?
Yeah. No, that is a really good question because when I go to the community, I think that is one of the top questions that I get asked. Like, hey, good, we're voting for you on the school board, but what do you exactly do on the school board? So I'm glad you asked this question. So from my understanding, we have three main responsibilities. One is to fire and hire the superintendent. So we oversee the superintendent and then delegate the daily task of the school district to this individual. We also set the budget. Which that is an opportunity for us to listen to the community, see their concerns, how can we improve our budget, because that is probably one of the biggest things that we do as a school board member. And then third is we set policy. We advocate at the local, at the state level. We, set, goals for, what policies we want to look at the state level and all of that. So yeah, budget, setting policy, and then firing and hiring the superintendent is the three main duties that we have as school board members.
For our next question, I'd like to ask you, what are your suggestions for involving the community in curriculum development? Can you describe the roles and levels of influence of parents, teachers, and the district in the development process?
Yeah, that's another good question. I think sometimes, we forget that our constituents are students, parents, educators, and, we work for them. And so I've always mentioned that one of the first things that we should always do when, making choices, decisions, is reach out to the community. We already have, great steps at doing that. I know as a guardian, I get those emails when the curriculum is, up for renewal each year. I get the emails, hey, we want to get your feedback on this curriculum. What do you think about these books? And so we're already doing that. I think we should be doing a better job at meeting people where they're at. I know this specifically what we're lacking is in our underrepresented communities, our Latino parents, Latino students, where they're missing the emails. They don't know that they even have a say in our curriculum. And so I think we should start, going to celebrations that they have, going to parent-teacher meetings that they have at their schools, and saying like, hey, it is time to look at the curriculum. Please, we invite you to we're open to your suggestions. What do you think about the curriculum? So really, I think continuing to do that outreach, but also going to them and talking about it, because I think it's something that we can be doing better.
Turning to the topic of transparency, as a school board member, how will you build community trust, facilitate communication, and manage conflict between parents, teachers, and the school board, especially during sensitive discussions on school board topics?
Yeah, no, great question. I think one of my answers is what we're doing now, having a conversation. I think for me, it's common sense, but a lot of folks, we don't see that happening. They stay in their bubbles. They don't want to talk to opposing sides. I think having a respectful conversation is the start, but also saying that it is important to identify and say that there is people who don't feel safe in our community because of these times that we're in. I would say very divisive times. And so I know I've talked to a lot of parents, again, especially in our Latino, BIPOC communities of color, that they just don't feel safe going into school board meetings. And so again, going to them and developing a safe spot for them to just be honest with us. And so just having those discussions. I like saying that I am running for school board because I know what local politics is. I've been and have advocated at the local and state level, and I like how they have all of our offices have an open door policy. And so I want to demonstrate that. I'm an email, a text message away if you want to talk to me.
Thank you for that. Now let's talk about budgeting. In thinking about the school district's decisions regarding funding and budget matters over the past year, what did you support and what did you not support?
Yeah, I think when it comes to budget, it is probably one of the hardest things that the school board has to deal with, because not only is there certain things that we do have to fund because of the state. They set the parameters; those are no question. We have to fund them. I think it's the hard part that people don't understand, and I don't blame them. The budget is a complex issue, but I think making sure that people understand there's certain things we just have to fund. Um, I think in terms of things that I like and that I would prioritize, as a school board member, is just our front-facing educators. We need our experienced educators to stay in our classrooms. So I wouldn't, support the cutting of our educators. I also would support the maintaining of our programs like music, like the arts, because that is a way that a lot of our students learn. They might, struggle a little bit in their regular core classes, but they excel in the arts and music. That is an opportunity for them to learn effectively and to even have careers in the arts and music after they leave our schools. Same way with career technical education, CTE, CTech. Those are things that I think we're doing good in funding and that I would not support the cutting of as a school board member.
Is there anything that you would look at cutting?
I think I would have to have those conversations because I'm not too sure right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's things that we can maybe not cut in itself, but scale down.
Mm-hmm.
But that is conversations I would have to have.
Thank you. Yeah. A safe environment impacts learning and the ability to teach. How can you ensure students feel safe at school with issues of bullying, gangs, harassment?
Yeah, good question. I think I want to, start with the school district has set 5 goals that they want the superintendent to complete, to follow. One of those goals that I really like that we included is the sense of belonging, because I think that is a big thing in our schools. We need our students, our parents to feel like they belong in our school district. I think that's how we start fostering that sense of safety in our classrooms. I think we have things like our Safe Oregon, hotline, tip line, where if a student, doesn't feel safe, if they feel like something's going on, they can report it. I think those things are great, but they only work if the students feel a sense of belonging, if they feel like they belong, if they feel trust in each other. Because our students, again, are the first people who know what's going on in our schools, because they're there, 5 times out of the week. I think we also need to be doing proactive strategies, which include, maintaining and funding our counselors, our mental health professionals, because if our students, are struggling with their everyday lives, that translates to doing not as good in school. And so we've seen, students who are straight A students that are affected by things outside of school that are not performing because they're struggling. And so I think we need to keep funding our mental health professionals or counselors to make sure that they're, feeling safe in our schools.
Moving on, how will we improve learning and reading achievement, especially in underserved areas?
Yeah, question. Early literacy is something that we're all passionate about. I would say, I think starting from 3rd grade and above, everything in school just builds up. And so if you fall behind, you're at disadvantage. And so I think we need to really identify and say that not all students learn the same way. We can't have a size fits all issue solution, because it's not the case. So I think looking at dual language programs that are in a lot of our elementary schools. I was part of a dual language program, and it really has changed my life, I would say. We're also looking at strategies like more one-on-one instruction. Some students need more support than others, and I think we need to keep identifying that, especially in our served populations. Again, English might not be the first language, so they're both learning English and learning how to read. So they're doing that at the same time. We have parents who are also learning with their child. And so I think we need to have also teachers who speak the language, who look like them, for them to be effective, and for them to learn in our classes. Because I think, again, not all of our students learn the same way, and we need to make sure that everybody knows that.
And this will be our last question. How do you respond to the Oregon Department of Education's proposal that would allow the agency to mandate state-provided coaching for districts in order for them to meet key performance goals, such as improving third grade reading levels and eighth grade math proficiency?
Yeah. So I'm not as familiar with this topic as other topics, but I know a lot of our community feels like we need to be more accountable, to our students. We need to be more accountable and following, the goals that we've set. I think parents and students, have the right to feel like they are learning in our schools, and so I would have to look at that bill more closely, because that is something that I'm not too familiar with, but I know that yes, accountability is something that I'm hearing from a lot of our parents, and it is something that I've looked into. So that's why I can't provide a definitive answer on that.
Candidate Baca, you're now invited to share your 2-minute closing comments.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. I think I just want the community, the voters, everybody to know, as I mentioned, this race is personal for me because I grew up here. I learned here. Don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon. And so I've advocated for, basic needs at the state, local level. I've advocated for education, higher education. So I'm here, as an advocate, but also, here to lead with my values, my passions and all of that. I think it is, important to share that I'm always been open-minded. I'm always been, I think because of my background, have always asked a lot of questions of people. So if I'm on the school board, you can, bet that I will be asking the questions that, parents, students might have, because that's just the nature of who I am. I've been, involved in local and state, offices, because I grew up here in the Capitol. And so I want to make sure that people know that I will advocate for them, and I will certainly listen to them when I'm on the school board. And so I invite them to learn more about me, to have a discussion with me at my website at angelo4for.com, angelo4oregon.com. So yeah, thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Candidate Baca, for our interview today and for sharing your thoughts. Many thanks to Capital Community Media for their extensive technology and production skills used to create this program. Thank you also to the League of Women Voters of Marion and Polk Counties for the design and preparation of the program, and to the American Association of University Women for help with question development. And thanks to you, the public, for watching in order to become a more informed voter. For more local, state, and national voter information on candidates and ballot issues, visit vote411.org. You have until April 29th to register to vote or to make changes in your registration. Ballots will go out on May 1st and will be accepted if postmarked before or on Election Day, May 20th. May elections in odd-number years conducted by our counties select representatives for local districts, such as school boards, fire and water districts, and transportation and cemetery districts. These are areas that affect our daily lives and are positions mostly filled by unpaid volunteers. Elections matter. Special district elections matter. Remember to vote, because your vote counts.